Subscribe to both of my YouTube channels, Sharon Winbush and Goddess Sharon. Turn on notifications and share all videos globally. Thank you.
You're going to jail, Mama. Going to jail, Mama. Now, when you get there, they're going to take away your name, give you a number and a sledgehammer, and say, get to work. One word of sass, they cuts out your tongue. They good at it, too. You won't bleed out. Oh, they does that real good.
I have one regret, and that was letting her go. My regret is buying those tickets and letting her go. Buying those tickets, buying those tickets, buying those tickets. During the summertime, this was April, during the summer, she was actually flying out to different concerts because he did present like, oh, let her see the behind the scenes, this sort of thing. Let her travel and see what it's like.
She was never alone while she was going back and forth.
She went on a few times by herself because we trusted her. And then
She was never alone while she was going back and forth.
She went on a few times by herself because we trusted her.
She was never alone while she was going back and forth.
She went on a few times by herself because we trusted her. I have one regret, and that was letting her go. My regret is buying those tickets and letting her go. Buying those tickets, buying those tickets, buying those tickets.
You're going to jail, Mama. Going to jail, Mama. Now, when you get there, they're going to take away your name, give you a number and a sledgehammer, and say, get to work. One word of sass, they cuts out your tongue. They good at it, too. You won't bleed out. Oh, they does that real good.
Alice says she bought tickets, plural. What that says to me is Alice is the one that paid for Azriel to fly to California, not Robert. Men, when they first meet you, they're not flying you places with them because they don't know you, and they already have females that they've known a long while that they are flying places. So you usually have to get in good with them first before they start paying for flights. It makes sense to me that after she pursued him and preyed on him along with her mother, and then they drove to Jacksonville, her mother was encouraging her to keep this going. He is indifferent because he's got somebody in every city that wants to be with him. He doesn't need to fly you in. So it makes sense to me that her mother would have flown her there. Maybe Azriel said he wants me to come, but if he wanted you to come, he would have paid for the ticket. So I believe, based on what her mother is saying, that Azriel told her mother he wants me to fly out, and her mother got her tickets. That means her mother flew her more than one time. One thing I know with absolute certainty is once a man starts flying you, he keeps flying you. Once he starts paying for you to fly from city to city, he keeps that going. So it doesn't make sense that Robert would have flown her initially and then Alice would have had to fly her later on, months later. That doesn't make sense, because once he has you established on his whatever it is, that the accountant sets up, then you're on there, and it's nothing for them to say, get her a ticket or fly her here or put her there. But what makes sense to me as a woman is when she first met him, he wasn't flying her. You don't take sand to the beach. He's traveling all around, and he knows there are women in every city that want to be with him, that he wants to be with, new, old, whatever. So you just don't take sand to the beach. It does not make sense that he would have flown Azriel to California. It does make sense that the mother flew her there to try to get her in. I know the world of celebrity, of rich, powerful men. I've moved in that world my entire life. Most of the females that I know move in that world. So I know the protocol. I know how the men behave. And Robert is no different. Men who are rich and famous and in the entertainment business, they do not fly women from city to city unless they've established something with them. So they don't just meet some random chick and say, here, fly here, especially once they've already had sex with you. They'll do that when they first meet you. But she sat on his face. They went to Jacksonville. He had to go to work. Robert's not thinking about flying somebody out. So the red flag for me is the mother saying she bought tickets, plural. That means she bought multiple tickets. And she said she went out several times by herself. So you generally will do that when you're trying to hook the whale, when you're trying to land the man. Because once a man puts you on his accountant's book and they already have your name and everything in the system, it's nothing for him to fly you out. My entire life, I've never known a guy to start flying a female out and then break that pattern. And all of a sudden, she's got to fly herself out. What generally happens is when he first meet her, he's indifferent. So she will fly herself out just to get her foot in the door. So she will make up an excuse to say, oh, I've got to come out there for business, or I've got to come out there for, just like she did with Jacksonville. She claimed she had a show, but she got there at 2 o'clock in the morning. So women do that all the time. They don't want to say, I'm chasing after you. So she'll say, oh, I've got to come out there and see my cousins, or I'll be in California. Where are you going to be? And guys know that. So you generally, when you first meet a guy in the entertainment business, you're flying yourself until you've gotten some leverage with him, until you've gotten, him to like you, and then he starts paying. The Mann Act violation that Robert was charged with for racketeering was for a trip to California, May of 2015. Did Robert's lawyers even verify who paid for that ticket?
I have one regret, and that was letting her go. My regret is buying those tickets and letting her go. Buying those tickets, buying those tickets, buying those tickets.
Parents knew she was 17 when they got her tickets from Ticketmaster, when they got her the ticket and then took her into the Funk Fest, both of which said you had to be 18 years of age, mature audience only. They also knew she was 17 when they sent her to California, knowing he was sexually interested, knowing they found her at the Dolphin Hotel. The mother was texting her back and forth, seduce him, shimmy for him, bite your finger, give him a massage. He's going to show up butt naked in your room, playing his music. The mother sent her 17-year-old across state lines and paid for the ticket. And if the lawyers check for tickets, check major credit cards, check the airline reservations for that time period, I'm sure it will show that Alice paid for those tickets.
You're going to jail, Mama. Going to jail, Mama. Now, when you get there, they're going to take away your name, give you a number and a sledgehammer, and say, get to work. One word of sass, they cuts out your tongue. They good at it, too. You won't believe that. Oh, they does that real good.